We'll take 7 or 8. I'm trying to get this done in under 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut some stuff out. I'm going to discuss origins. First, I'm going to give you an opinion. If you've got a worldview that you've come to thoughtfully, you've developed it over time, you've allowed it to be questioned and challenged and criticized, and it's working for you. When it comes to the origin of life on Earth, you don't need to be moving. There's no scientific argument that's persuasive enough to cause anyone to move off that position. Now, I believe I'm a created thing, and science doesn't have squat, in my opinion, to offer me to change that opinion. And frankly, because God's not empirically testable, I don't say that I have scientific evidence to, persuasive enough to move anybody off an atheistic or naturalistic worldview. But that's it. There's my current position or statement regarding any kind of discussions on origins of life, universe, whatever. Let's talk about one of the popular hypotheses right now, abiogenesis, which is the newest name or term for the old argument, which simply says somehow life can come from non-life. And I want to say the reason this argument changes names and clothing and whatever, but never completely goes away, is because there's a naturalist worldview or philosophy that really the dogma attached to it just demands that it has to have happened at some point. It demands that all things are either matter or energy, they're perceivable, and we can figure out the answers to all things given enough time, and that pushes the suggestion of life from non-life. Now, abiogenesis, and I'm going to be I'm going to show my bias against it. I'm a little, because I think it's presented too often and taken too seriously, as a theory or as a, persuasive or extremely credible argument for origins, and it's really not. I mean, it's the most current, it's the most up to date, but hear me out. It starts off, forget applying it to the origins of the universe or the planet. It's not what it's about. It's just saying the origin of life, trying to get life on the planet. And it starts off with the soup. It starts off with primordial soup, the oceans, and we're just going to presuppose that everything we need, at least at a minimum, we've got enough stuff in the ocean to allow for a chemical reaction to give us the building blocks of life, if we can get some power applied. And there's a reason why we have to have some power applied, and it's the second law of thermodynamics. I'll discuss my best understanding of that in a little bit, but basically it says this: if you cannot apply energy in a local system, you're not going to get an exception to this fact, and that is that all things in the universe are tending toward an increase in entropy. All energy and matter is being spread out evenly into space, and will do so until we reach an equilibrium. All potential energy gathered, holding together in any form of matter, is going to break down and dissipate unless you can apply energy for a period of time, and even then that's going to be a temporary decrease in entropy. So we got to find some power, and we say, hey, lightning. Okay, so our model has the stuff in the oceans that we need, and has lightning strikes occurring all over the place, and we got about 1 billion years we're thinking that the Earth needed to get these ingredients in place, and now we've got another 1 billion years or so. I forget how old the Earth is, but we got lots of time. We got lightning strikes. Now we can hypothesize that lightning will strike. We'll get those initial chemical reactions, and at one point, and this is again where people need to listen to this with some real skepticism. You don't just need the ingredients, the lightning strikes, the proper atmosphere structure of the planet. You got to hit that lottery. You got to get the lightning strike and get the either a dividing cell or molecule, replicating cell or molecule. You got to get something going, and then that has to happen in the right circumstances for it to then allow the effects of evolution to start clicking. And then, of course, you can't have any early extinction events, because you got to keep going. You got to get past what are these building blocks of life into the dividing cells, into the groupings of cells, into the simplest life forms, into more complicated life forms, eventually into all the life that we see now or know exists, has existed at any time. Well, there's abiogenesis, and if that's the best they got to get, best science has to offer right now, that is not a persuasive enough argument for someone like me to go, yeah, you're probably right. Probably no creator whatsoever. That's probably the way it went right there. That makes sense. Nah, blah. And I'll tell you why. when it comes to entropy and these localized exceptions to that second law, they're all temporary. They all require the application of energy, and then any case that anyone can cite for me is going to fit into one of two categories. It's either going to be an object of unknown origin, and I don't mean you know what it makes up. I'm saying the typical examples I'm given are snowflakes or crystals, things that form in an orderly fashion, increasing in structure and complexity, or decreasing in entropy, all by themselves, magically delicious. Well, that's begging the question. Those things are happening in strict adherence, in complete accordance with these physical, natural laws that we've discovered, conceptualized and described. We didn't make them. We don't know where they came from. They're not actually matter or energy, by the way, folks. But they're all happening in accordance with these things, and we don't know their origin. We don't know why the physical laws apply. We simply have seen and been able to demonstrate scientifically that they do apply. So those things are of unknown origin. They're great, they're fantastic, they certainly have the appearance of they just happen because they happen, but they're of unknown origin. And everything that falls in the example of known origin has been done by us, humans. The application of intellect. And I don't know if other creatures have, but for us, the human intellect is able to perceive matter, it's able to manipulate matter, we're able to apply energy to it, and we can cause temporary and local decreases in entropy. Well, now let's bring in Occam's razor to those facts. Occam's razor, to the best of my understanding, says when you're forced to choose between offered explanations, none of them provable, then the simplest explanation is most likely to be correct. Well, the empirical possibility, the one we can prove and demonstrate and do over and over and over again, is the application of intellect for local, temporary decreases in entropy. Everything else is of unknown origin, so why in the world would I let someone tell me that most likely life came from non-life randomly for no particular reason, just good soup and some good lightning and a little evolution? You know, if you're right, but you sure have no reason to expect anybody to come on over to your camp on the basis of that argument. Occam's razor says, hey, the one thing we know for sure is if intelligence can exist, it can perceive matter, it can manipulate, blah, I've already said it. So there you go. Occam's razor says, yeah, we probably came about because somebody wanted it to be so. So there you go, fire back. I'm going to call this soup razors, and you shouldn't run with sharp objects.